I'm Evie Lucas and you're listening to Origin Archives, recorded on the lands of the Kaurna people. I acknowledge the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples as the first Australians and traditional custodians of the lands where we research our ancestral lineage. Origin Archives is a place to keep a record of our lives, uncover our histories, tell our stories and unfold our futures. It's a recorded time capsule of our reality as we experience it and share any valuable information that we can to help others along their journey. The podcast discusses personal views and lived experiences of donor-conceived people and those seeking genealogical answers. At times it may include adult themes. Listener discretion is advised. It's unknown to this day, but with estimates of upwards of 60 to 90,000 donor-conceived Australians being created since the 1940s, it seems that majority of us still don't even know we're donor-conceived. Origin Archives are resources for donor-conceived Australians and a record of donor-conceived people searching for genetic identity, truth and transparency in an ever-expanding for-profit industry. In this episode of Origin Archives, I speak to Amy Tam, a donor-conceived person from Sydney growing up with a solo mum family structure. Amy is a highly creative person, and amongst exploring her areas of interest, she's shared her experience of being donor-conceived on the podcast Secrets We Keep by Any Means, and the television show SBS Insight on the episode called DNA Secrets. I just wanted to be able to have a chat because the whole reason of doing this and the reason it's called Origin Archives is because you know what it's like unfolding your own story and then having a hand in what you do next and how it unfolds for you. And you've done some media and advocacy. You've had an active role in like what you've decided to do with all of this sort of stuff too. Because say in like 2 decades, if you found a sibling, like they could listen to this or something like that.
This will catch them up, and then next segment on this, you'll have to interview both of us.
Because this is always going to change. I really feel like you're going to be able to get the name of your donor at some point.
I love the hope and the investment. I feel like I am like vicariously invested through you, if that makes sense.
Like I'm pumping you up a little bit.
Yes. Like I'm like, okay, cool. Like even Kat's like actually like cares.
I care a lot.
And I think you care more than I do, just because of like I think where you are at in your journey. That for me, I don't think I have as much, I guess, empathy for myself or like for where I'm at. That like I think I discount it way too much. So it's cool that you're like actually valuing.
I think it makes sense because I don't think any of the stuff that I found out would have made any sense or been particularly important, or one thing didn't seem more important than another and things like that when I was finding things out. So it makes a lot of sense. I only think about your donor's profile and stuff now because of how I've now met the man that was on my profile too. So I can kind of see the before and after, if that makes sense.
Yeah, maybe a bit like the whole of the parts instead of just a combination or like just random sporadic bits, but they actually mean more if they're like, okay, right, so it's him, instead of just being like, if I only knew things about you, like if I was only like, okay, you've got like an orange couch and you make music and you make jackets, like that doesn't mean a lot to me because that could be anyone.
Yeah.
But then like, no, you're like, yes, I love Kat, but I wouldn't just say that I love anyone with these qualities or traits. I feel like I'm in that space with
it's hard to link it to a person for sure.
Yeah, like no imagination, because I don't think I grew up with many imaginatory skills. I think I was talking about that today, that imagination is a big part of my like childhood. So I think even as an adult, I will either imagine the worst case scenario or nothing at all. It's just blank. No visuals or anything.
Yeah. I mean, that can be a safer thing to do to not be disappointed. I definitely do that with sibling scenarios, that's for sure. I wanted to, I guess if we start with when you were growing up, did you feel like you were asking a lot of questions frequently of your mum? Like when did you start asking questions? Do you remember?
I think I was maybe in primary school and we were learning about families, and not from a reproductive perspective, even though that came in definitely later from kids in the playground, but from a family structure perspective, that I think prompted, or I think just gave me more backing to keep asking. I think maybe just from how we're socialized, it's quite obvious to kids from, I think, the second they're born or the second they start having consciousness to be like, okay, yeah, all families is like a mom and a dad, traditionally. And then kind of feeling like we were different. And then like the gap between like our family and other families was more, I think, obvious as I got like through primary school, and of course starting to learn about like how kids are made and being like, well, this doesn't make sense. But then
you need two genetic parts. We know that much.
yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, even though we didn't learn enough about like gay couples and gay, like, like queer families and queer parents, which, is a shame, it still would have involved two parents either way in my mind, my little child mind.
What did they say? A seed and a something.
Oh my God, yeah.
Those little sort of seed analogies.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
And so you were mostly initiating the questions with your mum. Did she ever offer any info freely, or just no, it was always you?
I think she may have later on, when I was a little bit more grown, maybe in high school. I think I used to really criticize her for that and resent her for, why didn't you think to share anything with me? Why didn't you prepare me for all the questions that I would be getting as a child and teen? How was I to know that other kids would ask and I wouldn't have the answers? And how, like, she didn't have those kind of, I don't know, maybe it speaks more to like her generational and cultural and personal kind of like who she, or like her, even just how isolated she was, that she didn't preempt those questions. Like, even, when I brought them, it was like a surprise that I would actually be so curious. Yeah, no, nothing offered, and was really kind of like, she would begrudgingly share because she genuinely had to just take time to make up facts. So she's like,
And so she would say things that there was a relationship, but he didn't have interest to talk with you or give you any information. So how old were you when you finally discovered you were donor conceived?
I was 20. Yeah, I was 20. And I'd spent my whole, I think, high school years, so about like 12 to 18, thinking, oh, yes, right. Instead of just stopping where you kind of stopped and was just like, oh, he doesn't want to speak to you. She's like, oh, like, I'm the only parent that'll ever love you. He doesn't want you. And if he knew that you existed, there would be that wouldn't do either of you any good, or me. I would rather keep you than keep the relationships. I'd say that was just her way of just bookending my like search and like deterring me from searching. But it was really kind of a bit of a, I think she went too far. Like, she did too much to be like, oh like, it felt quite aggressive.
So is it her aggressiveness or the fact that the stories kept changing? Is that why you kept sort of asking?
The aggression was definitely it was so triggering to her that that triggered me. And then I thought, okay, well, why is it so upsetting for you? Like, why is my curiosity so upsetting to you? And how could you say that I protected you and I didn't have an abortion just to, like, I forewent for my relationship for you, so you should be grateful and you should stop asking questions. So I think that was quite abrasive. And then story did change as I feel like she was scrambling and pulling bits together just piecemeal. And then, like, these were all kind of, I guess, observations, assumptions, little, like, teen girl mind. Then on top of that, telling her that this was like so embarrassing to me, like that kind of shame that I had internalized, being like, everybody knows all about the family, and it seems like, we don't, and you don't care, and I'm so embarrassed and different. So then I would tell her that, I'm actually gonna, I go and make up better stories and stuff to people. I would be concerned if I knew that my child or someone around me was doing that for, like, the image of it all. But she was like, well, yeah, like, that's not, like, she didn't think it was that was a responsibility or a problem, which I don't know. But yeah, I really don't think encouraging your child to be so ashamed that they start creating like another layer of lies is good, not healthy. And then I think I did a DNA test. Weirdly enough, I think I did a DNA test when I was maybe still in high school, like the end of high school. Thinking, well, I'm gonna find out one way or another, and thought I was such a genius. Clearly hadn't heard any of your media. Clearly probably had never even heard of a podcast.
But you did DNA then technically before you turned 20 and found out you were donor conceived.
Exactly.
So did those results then like show anything that gave you any clues?
It was like kind of how I was like, well, you're definitely lying more than you are, more than I had assumed. She had kind of like made up like my ethnicity just based on what other parents in this playground were just like observing, like, oh, she looks like she's this mix of ethnicity and whatever. And then she would start saying that. She would be like, oh, well, your dad was. And of course, then I would have to go start taking it everywhere. And you do those like family trees in school. And then I started having to put like, I think, a Union Jack or something, like the bridge, the most colonial flag. Because I think someone was like, oh yeah, you look like my daughter who's like, her father's, this like white guy and like half Asian, half white. And I think it was so weird to be like, well, half seems too much, but let's make it a quarter.
So she would just gather evidence from other parents making observations, because your ancestry was like 100%
tipped
Chinese
me off.
heritage.
Yeah, 100%.
So because there was no English, you went back to her. And
I was like, just because we're in Australia, like, what inspired that? Yeah, so then I went back to her, and I remember just kind of confronting her, and I think she was just like, oh, I can't remember exactly what it was like, but this is how it felt to me / what I remember was just a bit like, just like, oh, well, okay. It was just so like, just so nothing. Like, clearly, she didn't have a great ability to process emotion, because she was just like, okay, well, there you go. Just ridiculous.
Do you think she was kind of caught out in that moment and then sort of forced to come clean?
No, she didn't feel so obliged necessarily to be like, oh, well, you know what? Like, here is actually the full picture. It was very, not empathetic. She was just like, well, that's weird. And then I left school and I went to like acting school, and then I had a bit of a like crisis of like, I don't know what to do for a career and do with the rest of my life, but my mental health is like, like down the drain. So then I think I was like, took some time to be like acquainted with therapy and mental illness. And then that was when my therapist was like, well, you know what? This isn't like a forever like black hole. Like, it's not like a forever, I guess, like blank space. I mean, you can just ask her. Like, you can just keep pressing her. Like, she gave me some guidance and some.
So you had a support system kind of helping you to
by then, get
some guidance. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. I felt supported, at that time personally and like, professionally as well. So that felt like the best time to confront her, and like it wouldn't have done any hung up, like it wouldn't have made it worse. I think I had very low expectation. This was a relief in a way.
So you were relieved to find out you were donor conceived, which a lot of us.
Yeah.
I mean, that might not be unique, but well, no. But in terms of being able to find information or being able to have leads, yeah.
So both those things which turned out to be not true anyway, so no relief now.
Well, we can't get those yet, but I still hold out hope that you will, and I'll like continue to hold it. But so if it wasn't relief, like, oh, I can find information, like what was that feeling when she told you?
Immediately it was relief. I think after like two at least conscious decades, I was just like, oh God, thank goodness it's not just like fully kind of undocumented, fully like at least someone somewhere knows something about this person or me. It's not just like, whoa, she slept with this one weird person who just fell off the face of the earth and now, that's it. It's just like, we didn't have emails back then. I don't have his phone number. But I was like, what the heck? Like, and then when she at least was like able to just name the clinic, at least they had a phone number. Well, yeah. So then I could think about like actually reaching out and stuff.
And so how long did you wait then to go into the clinics and try and start sort of locating that?
I went, I think, back to therapy the next week or whenever the next appointment was. And then that was when I was like, oh, I should probably wait until I'm 21, because I was about to turn 21, no matter if I think weeks or months. But no, my therapist was like, you don't actually need to wait. Like, you really don't. I think it was protective for me to wait. Like, it was a protective, like, coping mechanism to be like, I'm just going to put some distance between this. I'm not going to act on it immediately. Because it was just so cute. I was like, all I knew about people who were DC was literally the horror stories of like a bajillion siblings. I think I used to go around telling people that I was like, oh God, I hope I don't have a bajillion siblings, thinking like, oh, as if, but like here you are, and here a bajillion people actually are. Yeah, I put some space between that, but then was able to head off and start the kind of fruitless process. But
yeah, and so you were able to get his non-identifying information and then the sibling list that says there were 5 siblings or 5 offspring total.
I think I'm one of them. I always forget. I forget. You probably remember better than I do. Am I one of them, or like I think there's 5 of us?
Yeah, I think there were 5 from what Amelia Oberhart said. There were 5 total.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with this information. It all can still feel so hearsay, even if it's on documentation. A sibling list might not have a letterhead from the company. It might just be printed off on a Word doc with no official clinic letterhead.
Yeah, it felt so like that. Like you just dug around in the tray and was like, oh, here's a scrap piece of paper. That's fine.
Just write them down for you. Yeah. So did you find like your experience with the clinic and going back to them and saying, hey, I think you made me. Were they like caring towards you?
Not the first clinic, because fertility and pathology services got bought up by Monash IVF. Which was, I think, one of 2 clinics that were in proximity, like in the same suburb. But the first clinic I went to, I cannot remember who they were. I could just Google it, but they were closer to where the old clinic used to be. I go up to them at the counter and I say pretty much that. I'm like, I've just been told or something. And I think they were just like, okay. And like, I think it was quite just like, yeah, didn't know what to do with the like a fully adult human who was like.
That's the thing. It seems so strange that their whole business is making these people and then they've rarely met a donor conceived person ever.
Yes, exactly. Like not outside the womb. And also, I guess it's like, when you like breed, I don't know, cats, and then suddenly a whole kitten just turns up as like a fully grown cat in a human's outfit and is like, meow.
Although, I mean, they're documented better than we are.
Yes, they are. They were just like, here's your file.
Yeah. And so, like, when you finally got those, the list of like 4 other possible siblings, did you think that was a small number or that was manageable, or it still presented lots of manageable saying? Because like I know there's like 50 for me, but anyway.
Well, it wasn't 700, so.
Yes.
I did. Well, yeah, being raised as an only child, I was like, whoa, I was excited. I was like, whoa, cool. They're probably just around the corner. I'm like, oh God, I'm going to go grab them. Like, thinking it was really that easy. I think I clearly still hadn't come across you on the internet. I was just thinking, oh, cool, my buddies. Where are they? Like, I don't think they know who they are. It did seem exciting. Like, that was like cool to me for a little while. But then realizing that I think, I don't know how I think maybe I just got more familiar with just DC life, kind of like what other people's experiences were from like Facebook groups and stuff, that I was like, oh, they probably don't even know that they're DC, or that they were, yeah, like, like it's that kind of, oh, they might not know, or even if they do know, they're not on anywhere, like not on the New South Wales Central Health Register.
On the register.
Yeah, and then not on DNA testing sites. So it's kind of like, yeah, just because they're out there, you don't even know if they're alive. And if they are, you don't know if they're around or if they'll ever like surface.
I remember slowly realizing when I'd moved back to Melbourne, and that when I thought, oh, I'm in town now, I'll be able to be put in touch with them. But it's like, no.
Not like
that's not allowed.
In proximity. It's not just like, oh God.
So then how did you kind of come across the Facebook groups and the online communities, or did you meet a donor conceived person in Sydney somewhere?
Oh, well, I've met some since, but no, I think I just Googled it one day. I think so. Or maybe because maybe this might have been the timeline where I reached back out to the clinic and was like, well, donor anonymity is not permitted anymore. So can you retrospectively action this and find an update? Might he want to have contact? Might any of these people that you pass me on to might want to have contact? And they couldn't get anywhere. But I think they might have said reach out for some group support kind of thing. Possible. I may be giving them too much credit. They may have just been like, okay, well, not our problem anymore. I don't care. Like,
yeah, sorry, we can't help you.
It was probably, I think maybe just because we are like young women who just are resourceful. I think we probably just gone and Googled it or something, and maybe I think it was like the We Are Donor Conceived American website would have, the ones in magazines. I think you did something for them.
It's a worldwide sort of Facebook group, We Are Donor Conceived. So then you might have found the Australian IUD.
Definitely in that way. Yeah, one way or the other, probably. Oh, local.
Because I think the Australian one's the, oh my gosh, National or Network for Donor Conceived People.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my, it was like a yellow logo or something.
Yellow, yes.
Yes. I can picture exactly where I was, just walking home from work one day being like, yeah, looking at that on my phone and being, those were one of those moments where I was like, okay, cool, it's not all just alone. Like, yeah.
You're definitely not alone.
Yes. Now. Yeah, well, yeah, since then, right? Yeah.
It's so common to feel alone and like, oh, I shouldn't really care about this, but there are a lot of us. So, and so when did you start to decide like you would come out more than publicly and on, because I don't know if you talk about it much on your social media, but you've done like news interviews with ABC.
The first one was Insight. The first one was Insight with it was like, I think it was definitely during lockdown. I think I just saw a post about it in our like private Australian DC group, and then was like, well, I'll do it. I don't know if there's like, and I feel like you might feel the same way, that it's like you didn't really make this like decision and be like, I'm gonna make this, like my whole identity. Not that it is for either. But
it takes up a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. So then I don't think I did anything else after that. Like I did that one Insight episode filming. That was like a day of my life. And I think I was like, my head was spinning after it. And I didn't talk about being DC for like 2 years or something. I don't know. Like
that felt like quite a lot.
It felt so much because I didn't really have any like DC friends. Like, I don't think I'd known, I definitely hadn't known you properly. And then Fiona, I think, was the other person who's being interviewed, and I couldn't even tell you who the other people were. And it was no kind of like, media training kind of, or like media kind of resources. In that way, I just kind of got to speak freely, and I was super nervous. And then I feel like very supported. I think the trailer came out and people shared it in our Facebook group and publicly. So like it was really good to have had that opportunity, and then seeing how much the community just came out. But I think it was just so taxing for me, as most other things were, that I didn't revisit it until I think when ABC approached us because you thought that was your brother on TV.
Yeah, and I messaged him on Twitter like a proper weirdo. I've also messaged Carrington Clark. I don't know if you see, he's always on the TV now. He's in the US, but he's got this eyebrow, like there's one eyebrow that sits higher than the other. Like, you can see it now. This is the lower one, and he's totally got it. And I'm like, oh no. But he could be from Sydney, and it's very highly likely not a sibling, but he didn't reply. I just thought he thought I'm some weirdo.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, because now I'm going to start looking at people's eyebrows. I'm like,
yeah, there's a few little things now I look for. Do you look around the streets and like eye people off, or like are you doing that walking around Sydney? Digging around for siblings? Yeah.
Well, I don't watch enough TV. No, I was like, I think I did it as a kid, thinking that was going to be how I would find my father. Just thinking if I stared into enough men's faces, I'd be like, oh, that's him. And I think I just wore that like muscle out in me, that as an adult, I was like, oh, I can't be bothered, man. Like, you look at me and you tell me. Yeah, we just need someone as proactive as you and observant to be like.
I think it's a relay race, and I think you can put the advocacy baton down and go do other stuff. Because one thing I noticed about you, seeing you doing like all of your dancing and you said you studied acting. Like, you're a very, very creative individual. So trying to analyze every single man's face on the street that you see, that sounds so exhausting. It makes sense why you're not doing that.
I love that you have such like insight into my brain. That's like creepy. That's actually really scary because yes, I don't know if anyone's ever actually spoken about like pointed that out to me. And then also being like, yeah, because I will go like, like full in, like with everything I do. Like people might just be like, okay, just dabble. Never heard of dabbling, never practiced dabbling. What is dabbling to me, right? Like I feel like
So you're all in.
the same. Yeah, and you've probably been able to rein it in a way because I'm like, you spread yourself out across things. Like I think. Like I can, but not really. I can't. Like I think there's that phase where I was so inspired with dance. Now, oh god, I haven't seen this. I haven't been in the studio for weeks. I think
it's not a
stuff like
dance season right now. What's happening right now? Like, what's your creative outlet at the moment?
So it's not super super creative, but I think this is maybe like a dip moment that I actually just am sitting at home with those like adult coloring in books. Look, a year ago, I would have like thrown up to know that I was doing that. I think someone else took a photo of them doing it whilst they were injured, and I was like, God, is that person really that bored that if they're not dancing, that's what they're doing? But now I am that person. I've got all these texted highlighters, markers out over there. Like it's kind of a bit like I go too hard. So I think the same with advocacy. I think there's times where, and what makes the advocacy journey so much like less kind of like up and down is when, like you're saying, the relay race and feeling like you're in this like kind of little team that are doing it together, and just to see, or just even just to like be able to talk about it with someone else. I was like, oh, I don't want to go online, and you're like, think of the little DCP's faces, and I'm like, I'm logging in.
I think sometimes I get pulled into it because of the timing of things. Like at the moment, all the clinics are, having embryo mix-ups revealed and private information being released onto the dark web and not warning their patients. It's and just like the rapid reviews into things, and then now the health ministers are paying attention, so it feels like go time. It's unpaid time writing letters, and I mean, I think in the last week there would have been like 15, 16 hours just writing letters. It definitely takes a toll. And you're writing about pretty intense things, so that can be like take an emotional toll. You can't, no one can do it all the time. I don't think. You need to take rest. You need to do some coloring in and like fill up your cup,
Literally, yeah.
So on the profile, right, your donor profile, and it's saying that he was from China, went to study in Japan, studied film, so Bachelor of Film, he'd said. And then it seems like he came to Australia and was studying marketing and was a sales clerk. So that seems like more higher study, like maybe a master's or something. Do you think that could be? We don't.
News to me.
I went, well,
you could tell me what my donor's profile was, and I'd be like, oh, yes, Kat. Oh, right, got you.
Do you think that are you super interested in like piecing him together or or finding out siblings?
Siblings more so.
Siblings more so.
Like, I really am. I just feel a little bit like uninspired. That's so weird, but it's just a bit like I'm not any closer. And because there's no momentum, there's nothing shifting. Of course, with legislation and everything, all of that shifting. And I'm like, of course, we're putting more eggs in that basket. But then kind of feeling like, well, like this is maybe, I think you might be like the fourth person to really kindly, again, offer like unpaid. It wasn't,
We had a look at your results, your DNA results. And there's really no paternal matches. Like I realized how lucky I was to see some paternal, like they were fourth cousins or something. But from there, then you can do a lot and you can get a DNA angel to make some mirror trees and work backwards. Yeah, but they were just all maternal matches for you. That's why it makes me quite infuriated that I just think you should be able to get his identifying information, because I've been conceived in Victoria. I've been able to know that name since 2017. And why can you not? I think that's really ridiculous. And completely unfair. Even if you don't want to pursue a relationship with him or find out anything more about him, you should still have that right.
Yeah, it's having the option, being here's the door and you don't have to, like, no one's going to push you through it, but, at least open, you can open it. Whereas I think because there's like nothing tangible to work off, that I'm just like this could just be, the other day, sorry, just got to go off and tangent. The other day, I asked the optometrist for my prescription, and it turns out that they gave me someone else's prescription, and I was fully about to get new glasses made from that. Like, this feels like one of those situations that if like someone, like, this could be someone else's father.
Do you think then, like, say with your optometrist situation, do you feel like you're less trusting of documentation and those kind of things? You want to see more proof than that, or?
I didn't question it, but I think the biggest horror story, not to throw it back on you, but your experiences with your profiles, I feel like those were the biggest things to kind of deter me from ever trusting just medical paperwork as much as I would have. Sometimes I forget and I'm like, wait. Could also not be true because of how you genuinely, I think I was a really baby, DCP, and didn't know different codes, the state were a thing, different codes between clinics were a thing, all these kind of things that I fully thought, everything's above board. Like, this is a whole federal, I don't know, federally regulated industry, or so I thought. Clearly, so true.
Where is New South Wales up to? I know it's always feels like a standstill and it's taking years, but they were asking a survey on what you'd like to see in register services.
Yeah, was it that inquiry that everyone could make submissions, and I think submissions haven't opened, or at least they haven't closed, but that's pretty much the only thing that I feel like has come into the mix for all these past months or a year or so that I've been kind of back into this space and thinking, what is going on? It's a bit like there. I genuinely see how you and everyone else are going with the other states, and so being able to contribute where I can, because sometimes they do open it up to all Australians, or they just be like, okay, you just have to have a postcode. And sometimes, you make great templates through all your, emotionally laborious, unpaid writing, drafting hours,
Good
and
times.
because you shared them.
Anything I make and share, I just want it to make it easier, because like you said, it's just unpaid admin. That why would you want to do that? You already have to do some of that for your work, so we want to avoid that if we can.
Exactly. Yeah, it's actually a good point when you say that. When you actually do paid gigs for stuff, if you're writing up a business proposal, sorry, that's not really, it's about, I don't know, home energy readings, for example. That's not really a really taxing, emotionally draining subject, because that's just, over there on the wall kind of thing. But yeah, it's such a good point that you've actually just, showed that insight to be it actually takes a lot out of me just to write a sentence. It's not just handing in your history essay or whatever.
Because the advocacy is writing about really personal, horrible things, and you're confirming that they're real to yourself, trying to put that to someone and make them care.
Yes, after you've been kind of internalizing the message that you're not meant to care, and then you do care, and then you care too much now, apparently, according to people. So then being well, care.
I feel like things are changing. Have you been noticing that a little bit since Insight, right? Did you experience any, after you did that first bit of media, any kind of backlash or any kind of, hopefully you didn't have to look at the comments or anything, but did you notice anything like that?
I think quite obsessively was reading the comments being God, is anyone gonna, have those opinions? And no, you're absolutely right that majority of people, I feel like the tides had always been turning and then ramping up more as the years go on. I feel like it was majority in support of, I think someone's comment was life is complex enough. This poor little girl or something. And I think they were all, some of them were a lot longer than that. But yeah, exactly. Things like that, which, right, to just be very validating. And I think because there is more content out there, promoting that industry, and then there's also more content you're matching that with. How can you match it really? Because these are big bloody corporations, but having that side just more visible. I think every person who asks me about this stuff, and I'm yeah, it's an Instagram account that I think would be really educational, and I've sent your profile to a bajillion people.
Oh, really?
Oh God, yeah. Like, and I
think that helps to take the pressure off too. They're like, what's this? Like, what is this about? Then it's like, oh, I've got some documentaries for you. Like, are you into documentaries? Or are you into books? Like, let's get Sarah Dingle's book and Lauren Burns's book. And, you know, it's so much better to sort of palm it off. And that's the relay as well. Like, I
think
feel
that's,
like.
that was kind of your intention with Origin Archives as well. Like, I think this is another format. So be like, yeah, if you like social media, that's good. If you like, you know, books, and if you like watching stuff. So covering all bases, really, short of just standing outside the clinics, like.
I think too. I mean, like, I'm not trying to, feel like you'll think about it after I've said it, but I think to say if like in 10 years, if you have found a sibling and then they could rewatch this, they would have probably been watching your mannerisms the whole time and like your intonation, how you speak and rhythms of speech and things like that.
Oh, is that what you did?
They can be where people notice similarities, like how you hold yourself and how you speak and like literally it can really be. Yeah, they might find similarities in reactions and all sorts of stuff. Like you just never know.
Did you find at least one with everybody that you had like spoken to or met that you were related to?
We all have our eyes are quite close together, which is pretty embarrassing. It's really, well, you know how like, so it's really,
like with your eyebrows or your eye.
Our eyes, there's not much space between our eyes.
That. No.
Yeah, like some beautiful wide set eyes. Like if you look at all the Disney princesses, everyone has lovely wide set eyes and a small nose.
A Disney princess. You're the reason why.
No. Oh man, but yeah. So all of the siblings, and I actually from one of the cousins, I have gotten a photo of a few ancestors, and I've found like the culprit who we all really look like, with eyes that are quite close together. And this kind of look in the eye, which, I've definitely found him and been able to compare a few of us to that.
Before him, your eyes were way out here like frogs.
But he just brought them way in.
Just one person.
Yeah, it just takes one. So, I don't know. I hope that there's at some point, there's someone that can watch you and go, wow, we're really similar. I think that would be cool. And they would also
be doing the same to you, as in like there could be someone watching this episode who is genuinely watching it for like your trademark.
I see siblings watching my stories who maybe don't know that it's their burner account and things.
No.
Yeah. So it's really strange because once you start, like I needed to do all of this media stuff to try and help with the laws and then talk really publicly just to show how the documentation's so dodgy, but then also limit how personal I'm getting with the stories because it's not just my story, it's everybody else's. So I'm never wanting to identify siblings or their stories or anything like that. But then when they find out if they, any of the codes I've mentioned, because you've never really talked about did you have a donor code?
Yeah, it's 2 letters.
Yeah. See, that seems like
anyone.
That seems like the Melbourne IVF usually used 2 letters.
Yeah, I think when you said that, I was like, oh my God, could we be related? Obviously not.
Well, now that I've seen your DNA results, probably not then, because it's definitely, on my paternal side is Polish. So,
But it could, right? Like it could.
There's so many people who you'd be like, oh, I wish they were my sibling. Like this would be great. So
exactly.
That's hard too.
Yeah. So technically we're all just, we're all in a way, we're connected through this, just not through blood. That's okay.
It's tricky mentioning the codes because then anyone can Google their donor code, possibly find my name, possibly find the articles now and find out all the medical information. Yeah, so it's quite a lot to find out all in one go. So I guess that's sort of
well, it is.
Can be a double-edged sword with being public, but
you're doing it for their best interests.
I just hope there's counselling on the other side of it too.
Yeah.
That's all. Does the New South Wales Register offer any kind of counselling around being on the register?
I think so. Well, not in that regard. Maybe if I looked at the website or something all these years later, maybe the in-person clinic, and I think they may have offered, and I was like, I have a therapist, but maybe if I didn't.
I remember feeling before 2017, before those laws changed, I felt like, what's the point? Like nothing's happening anyway. None of the politicians are really caring about this. Nothing's opening up.
And not really in a depressing way. Like, it probably sounds a little bit sad, but yeah, not in like a kind of way. Like, I'm just like, well,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it's
What can we
not,
do?
yeah. Yeah, like, yeah, somehow you just kind of have to see a little bit of the, like, the dial, like, move a little to keep it moving. So I think, though, seeing it in other states is that equivalent for me, being like, yeah, well, you're always on some breakfast show, responding to some concerning thing that's popped up.
It makes
There's
content
always a
making is
mention
actually heaps
of new.
easy.
I was gonna say, I was like,
There's
I think
something
there's
every day.
ever since, and I feel like these two have fueled each other. The fact that, like, yeah, all this concerning stuff is in the headlines, and then you're getting roped in, and you making all this like new content. When you kind of like saw your like creative direction and like actual like direction, and just started making really different content. It was like elevated, and it was like when that time you were like involve someone else, and they all change. I feel like those two happened like pretty much like separate train tracks, and then they joined at once at some stage in these past few months. I feel like that just happened, and then I think I just got more involved because of that, and then now we're just
It's been kind of accidental. Yeah. I mean, I didn't get into family history until after I was 27.
like
So
going to Latvia and
yeah, well, I didn't know that mum's side was Latvian until I was 27. So it was real big themes after 27. I didn't really.
But you just start getting close to 30, and you're just like, whoa, okay.
I think so. Yeah, I don't know what changed that. I think actually having more of a community, joining with maybe recipient parents and donors, and like I'll chat to lots of different people on the social media apps, and having like support. They've been really supportive, so I think that really does help. Because you didn't in 2015, you wouldn't have gone or known about the IUDC event in Melbourne. Is that right?
No, it was 2017 that I found out. So yeah, no. Was that the one where it was before everyone went to the UN? I don't know about everyone.
Yes. Yeah, that was 2019.
What? As in, like, are you in that photo? Like, I'm thinking of that big group photo where, where
IUDC one. I am, and I'm standing right behind who turned out to be my sibling in that photo. Little Easter egg. Yeah, you could go and look at it. Yeah, we didn't know we were siblings on that day, but that was who popped up on my ancestry.
Y'all didn't need to do a DNA test yet. Like, back then you just was like...
It took a year, and then I just didn't prioritize it. You know how you feel about like deciding whether or not the information about the donor means anything? I was like, I'll get to do a DNA test. I was still just trying to organize band rehearsals and, just trying to make it through university and date in the city. Just living a life,
Yeah.
2015, when that IUDC event was on, I remember going to that event and feeling so deeply for the donor conceived people that had difficult upbringings. And I remember coming home so angry that people had experienced such hardships and not having support from their families about all the different things they felt. And I had no idea it was like that.
Did you feel that kind of like survivor's guilt in a way?
I just felt really, it wasn't really about me, but I just felt like a lot of people had really different upbringings, and there's a lot more and bigger issues here that no one gets to express their feelings very much about this. There's nowhere to put them.
Kind of is exactly kind of your intention, or at least one of, with this platform that you're making, and to think that had already like always been the sentiment that you carried in the past like decade. Wow.
Because I remember I got home from that day actually, and I told my roommates how angry I was because, kids had experienced like horrible things, and I was really angry for them, and they sort of really dismissed my feelings, like, why is this your problem? Like, really, yeah. And I was like, how can you be so dismissive of something like this? It's not just made up. Like I'd sat and marinated in all of these people's different feelings all day, but I'd really felt them. Like you couldn't not, because it was so powerful. And like we had a justice there he did lots of work in children's rights, and he'd seen some horrible stuff and really shared a lot of things with us, and you couldn't help but become sort of passionate about it all. And Yeah, and like Lauren Burns got everybody on those panels, I think for a reason, and it just was very educational and it was really infuriating, and like you couldn't help it.
That was like invigorating in a way, like that would fuel the fire. Like if you, that actually is so cool. That, well, not cool, but in that because of your proximity, like you can't, you have to have like enough motivation to attend something like that, so that you can get motivated from that.
We didn't necessarily know what we were in for that day, but I think it was really important, and I'd really love another DC event where there are panels on things like DNA was only just sort of in its beginnings, and it was still really expensive to do a test.
My goodness, the dark freaking ages. Like, this is how like long you've been around this, not like as a person.
Pretty,
but yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I would love to organize it. Like, yeah, I like do like, you know, like panels for conferences at work and stuff. Like, I'll just apply it out here and then be like, just gather around, folks. Like,
I know there were some grants and things that were accessed for people to have flights that, you know, wanted to come over from Perth or things like that.
Fantastic.
Yeah, there was a lot. So
maybe that's what we need in New South Wales, so that we actually get conversation about it. Like, so that we can get this going, because otherwise it's just not really popping up for nobody. It's not on anyone's radar until it is.
The only reason I got into anything at all, when I moved to Melbourne, I got curious and I contacted the clinics, and they sort of pushed me towards VARTA, and that was really active, super active. And when I connected with them, Lauren Burns was like sort of on call being like, do you want to go for a coffee? And I met with her, and it was so lovely, and she was the first donor conceived person I met. Just someone who said, hey, like, do you want to go for a coffee? Let's talk about how weird this all is.
I didn't know that was your origin, like,
yeah,
entry, like gateway into this.
Yeah,
like,
because VARTA was so established, it could like help lots of DC people connect and like, yeah, to feel their feelings, to go, this is really messed up. Like, I do feel like there's a lot of weird stuff that's happened in the past. Am I allowed to be angry about this?
And if they had like your housemates who were like, nah,
Yeah,
think about it.
Yeah.
Like, that's so gross. Like, that's so just, yeah, that, like.
And very common, but very common.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like, you're basically, yeah, like, Lauren Burns would have been, like, a lived experience kind of, like, mentor in a way. Like, you know, they have those for other areas of mental health.
All right, we'll have, like, this nice little video package up for your future siblings to be able to look in on you, peer in on you, to, like, suss out your movements and intonation.
Actually, I think that'd be super cool. Also, yeah, they're probably gonna be like, okay, cool. Are they also short-sighted? I'd like to know that. Yes,
all
right.
my siblings have an astigmatism. Yeah, what do you?
They do. God, these lights out there, like, you know, those like headlights. Walking home, I am a deer. Like, I will get knocked over because it's so bright. I've got all the eye protection possible. I need like sunnies for this. Like, yikes. But also my accent, like how I talk, and I don't know if this is going to be something that is going to be genetic. I don't think that's how it works, but my accent is always being picked up by people being like, oh, you just sound really ambiguous. Like, I don't know where you're from. I don't know what you are. Like, where did you come from? Like, what are you doing? And I think it may just be a mix of like just being raised on too much like TV and, you know, it's probably, yeah, not in my DNA at all.
We need your other siblings to be able to tell. Like, you need to all be hanging out together to be able to know.
Yes.
So,
yes, exactly. I'm gonna, first thing will be like, yep, just speak. And then I'll tell you. Yep. I feel like for years I felt like I could so rarely touch anything DC. Like, now I think I've gotten better over this year. Like, I think it's been exposure therapy as well. Like, and sometimes I feel like even there were days people were like, oh yeah, like, anyone want to ask me? Like, I'll set up a little tent and be like, you know, come one and all, like, you know, come and ask me because I actually want to talk about it. I can only imagine now we can laugh about it, that like it is possible to be like, oh, this is absolutely weird and wild, but then being like, oh, eventually you'll find your people, some people, you know, and you'll be like, oh, it's actually better to know. Like, I don't think there's, like, I would never go back to like not knowing. Like, I would never be like, would have rather my mom just keep making new facts, or like not have asked her and pressed her. So I think it's gonna be interesting. Like, also, if it's like gonna be, this is gonna be like 5 or 10 years in the future, I truly hope to like have known a sibling more than a donor, this might be interesting to hear, but yeah, like there just seems to be more like, I think it's just because I'm quite like disillusioned about parents right now. Yes, I know they're people and they're humans, and like I do actually have a parent, like, you know, that I do know and just don't have, you know, good times with. So I think that hopefully will change. If you were working on, like, you know, you're recalling more facts from the donor profile than I am, but if I had my like siblings profiles, I would be like, oh my God. And also, I think I don't realize that, like, if 5 or 6 years is how long it took you, then that seems to be a really long stretch of time. Like, that's going to take me into my 30s. Like, I think that's a bit kind of reassuring in a way to be like, okay, well, eventually you may grow into that kind of intrigue, or just the fact that, like, there is no rush, or, yeah, I mean, there's no rush on my end, and no one expects it. Like, they're not expecting me, so it's not like I'm like, oh, I'm late.
I want to thank Amy for sharing her story and feelings with us. I think through speaking to Amy, we can see from her experience how there can be an added mental load when searching for answers like this, and how we might encounter hurdles to information, but how a community around us can be helpful. I think the most fascinating thing I think about in Amy's story is the parallels and possible thread between the donor profile stating that he studied film and then her own creative practice in dance and study in acting. This includes Amy's involvement in the SBS Insight segment and her story on the Secrets We Keep by Any Means podcast with Amelia Oberhart. I've put any resources we mentioned in this episode in the description so you can find them if you need them.
If you're enjoying these episodes, please rate them, give them a like, or share them with a friend. Any support you can give means that someone who might need these resources has a chance to see them and find the information and answers they're looking for and the help they might need. You never know if you might be listening to someone's story that you're related to. Or perhaps a loved one of yours finds out they too are in need of these stories or resources. I've benefited from donor-conceived people in my community who have searched for answers, shared information, and pushed for change. I thank all of them for doing what they could so that I have the information that I do and felt support when I needed it.